Welcome to Becoming More, where we become more by listening to other people. Today I have my husband with me, Tony DiCello, who, as you know, is one of the greatest coaches in America for real estate. And Tony, you've coached a lot of great people, and you've taken them from making a couple of $100,000 a year to millions. And you've done that by being consistent with your coaching, right? Now, here's the interesting part. If you would love to know more about consistency, watch this. And it all came from a Tuesday morning call that you and I do free of charge. It's called Q&A, right? Just where people ask questions. And Chase Sloan said, what's the difference between frequency and consistency? Well, immediately I said frequency starts and stops, and consistency is done every day, forming a habit. We start talking about the tortoise and the hare, right? I mean, frequency is how often do you do it, and consistency is how dependable are you on doing it. Frequency is driven by motivation, and then, of course, consistency is driven by commitment. Consistency, literally, it creates mastery, whereas frequency just creates momentum.
Right. Off and on.
Yeah. And frequency may be intense, yet consistency is steady. Right. And the last one I thought of was frequency is short-term wins, and consistency is long-term success.
Right.
Well, these people that you have coached have been consistent in many ways. So let's hear from you.
Consistency basically is doing it over and over and over every day. And for some of those people I coach, some of them I coached 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. And today they're just as consistent as they were 25 years ago. And the ones that have teams, that whole team is consistent for 150, 200, 240 days a year. They're consistent. Consistency creates a compounding effect that everything gets layered. So when you're doing consistency, you're doing it every day. So you do it 200 days 1 year. At the end of 2 years, you've done it 400 days. Your compounding expands. Your skills get to the point of mastery. And what happens is you now have a tool you can use for the rest of your life. No matter what business they're in, most of my clients were in the real estate business, a few were in other businesses. But all of them were in a business that if you're not consistently looking for people to do business with, you weren't in business. Mm-hmm. And what happens for people in real estate is we're not consistent enough. But here's an interesting thing. If you just work 150 days a year, that's 32 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
You're getting 22 weeks off already. You're almost part-time. So if you look at it from that standpoint, 200 days a year is 40 weeks. You're still only working 3 out of every 4 weeks a month. So the consistency is not overburdening. It's probably more boring than it is overburdening. What I mean by that is you're having the same conversations 200 days a year, 5, 10, 15 times a day. You're doing it for years and years and years. And here's what the difference is. The people that do all that repetitious boredom are not bored when they go to the bank because the bank's got a full account. Look at it from this point. The more bored you are, the greater your assets are.
You know, that's a great way to look at it. I think sometimes people want new, they want exciting, they want to have all these different things going throughout the day. And we're not talking a lot of time.
Nope.
I mean, on phone calling, it's a couple of hours. On social media, it's a couple of hours. I mean, think about the time that we spend if we were consistent in whatever form of lead generation.
Right.
It wouldn't matter what
Right.
they did.
And basically, lead generation is nothing more than a continuation of actions. If you do your actions, you start getting people to do business with. Those people then create a contract. They create a closing of the business, and it creates a check. So really what we want is consistency of actions. And that action could be YouTubes, it could be video emails. In real estate, it could be creating a farm. It could be doing open houses. It could be phone calls. It could be texting.
Well, let's talk about a couple of your clients that you have currently right now that you're coaching. They're consistent with open houses.
Right.
I mean, what's happening with their business?
Well, in 13 years of business, they've had over 1,300 closings.
And they're not little clothing.
No, they're very nice
And
closings.
yet they have a system they've mastered.
They mastered a system on day one. They did it on day two. They did it on day three. They did it on day 4,000. They did it on day 5,000. They've run the same model for 13 years. It's created 1,300 closed transactions. And the model on today is no different than the model. The skills have gotten better. The refinement of the actions have gotten better. So basically, they're accomplishing more in less time. So I think if we look at it from that standpoint of view, here's a couple things you want to do on consistency. Whatever you do, put it in a time blocking schedule.
Yeah,
So you
because if
do
it's not in your schedule, it
it
doesn't
doesn't
exist.
exist. It's one of the old laws. So here's the thing. Just start doing the same action on the same time every day. Again, starting at the same time. I had a client that never started at 9 o'clock. The minute he and his team started at 9 o'clock every day, their business grew from $500,000 to $5 million in about 5 years.
You know what's interesting with that is when we have the same time every day, our brain actually prepares us for this. I remember Zig Ziglar many years ago, he says, whatever you do when you lead generate, make it the same time every day. And pretty soon your brain will actually say, hey, it's time to lead generate. And you'll start feeling awkward if you're not doing it.
Right. So I think that's what we have to be looking at is time blocking schedule, starting at the same time, doing the same actions to get the results you want. And if you're not getting the results you want, you just look at, okay, what do I do to refine my actions? And what is mastery? Mastery is 10,000 hours.
And it's consistent.
Right. Yeah. So how fast do you get to 10,000 hours? The Beatles, before they took the stage, already had played together for 20,000 hours. 20,000 hours.
Yeah. And they practiced a
Why
lot.
were they an instant success? Because they already had 20,000 hours of practice. So, let's look at some of those actions. So in real estate, we know in any business, your database, your past clients, the people you know, the people you're going to communicate with and nurture, that's your number one source of business in every business, is the people you've done business with, or the people you're nurturing to do business with. So that's where you're going to spend some of your time in the beginning. In real estate, the second best tool for lead generation and finding buyers and sellers is open houses. It's just not open house. You don't put up a sign and hope like heck a bunch of people come. If you want 100 or 200 or 300 people at your open house, invite 1 or 2 or 3,000. Or those people that we're talking about, they invite 10 or 15,000 people to every open house.
And yet their houses that they hold open, they don't hold them open once.
Right.
I mean, most of them sell within a week.
Right. They hold them open 3 times. And make your open house more of an event than just an open house. And are you knocking doors, inviting the neighbors? Are you inviting people from neighborhoods that are a buyer for the neighborhood you're holding the open house in? Are you inviting your clients to the open house?
About how many homes do they knock doors to get 200 people to their open house?
150, but they also invite every open house. They invite all their clients.
Yeah, because you never know. A client may have another friend that they'll
Yep.
bring along, and they've established that consistency of making an open house an event.
Well, on your Tuesday calls,
Yeah.
about a year ago, a lady said, I want to have a lot of people to my open house. She was in Toronto. She said, I got 200 people to my open house. And somebody asked her, how many doors did she knock? 1,400 doors.
She was willing to do whatever it takes, right? Or whatever it took to get them there. I think that's so important.
Right. And here's the other thing. We want to spend that 10,000 hours on building our skills. Well, talk a little bit about how the brain needs that time to master the tools of language.
Yeah, it's called muscle memory. An Olympian, let's say a gymnast. I mean, Simone Biles didn't go out there and get on the balance beam and do her routine. She had to practice it over and over and over to where her brain actually had kept those neural pathways to where this is what comes next, then this, then this. This is how your feet land. This is what happens. And it just over and over. That repetitious boredom you talk about. And basically in the brain what happens is you have a thought once, it travels along what I call the highway streets of the brain, right? And one time, no big deal. 2 times, no big deal. Yet pretty soon you start running down that same highway. What happens to the highways? They have to get repaired because they've been traveled on so much. There's ruts, there's potholes, etc. In our brain, it's the same way. It travels along the same pathway that is the strongest and has the biggest rut. The more you talk about, the more you practice, the more you drill, the more you rehearse, you're reinforcing that pathway so your brain will automatically go there.
Right. So basically, we just continually do this every day. We practice it, then we get on the calls. We're still practicing it. We're still refining it. Now the people are responding differently. So you're getting better and you're communicating more and your efficiency goes up. You're setting more appointments.
A lot of people, they memorize these scripts, and memorization is good, yet does the seller have their part memorized? Because if they don't come back with exactly what you think they're going to come back with, you don't know where to go. I think it's good that you have scripts and you understand what it is about that script, and you also learn the models, like the 4 quadrants, on how you construct a script right there, Johnny on the spot, in front of those sellers, whatever they say. Because you and I both know, most of them say pretty much the same thing.
Right, yeah. I've been there, say, for 50 years. It's still the same objections it was 51 years ago.
Right, and you have to have more ways and be consistent with 10 to 12 ways to handle those.
Right. And here's some things we're learning. Now, through research, we're learning that calls, the longer you can keep them on the phone, the more results you're going to get. So an average sales call lasts 30 seconds. And why does it last 30 seconds? Because it's a sales call. It's not a conversation. What we're learning is, and I learned this again, I've heard this now twice in a week, those calls, whether they're door knocking or phone, because I just heard it on Tuesday, that if you keep them on the phone for 2 minutes, you have a 3 times chance of getting them as a potential client.
Well, and haven't they done research on this?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Can you have a 2-minute conversation?
Because once it's 2 minutes, you have a better opportunity. What did the odds go up?
3 times.
3 times a better chance. If you just keep people on the phone, how do you keep them on the phone if you haven't put that communication inside of you? It definitely won't come out of you.
Yeah, and for both researches from 2 different companies, you have to be asking 10 or more questions.
That's the part I think a lot of people forget, especially on listening presentations. They go in and make a presentation instead of asking questions. to have the seller make the presentation to them.
Right. And one of the things that we don't do, we could do a better job as realtors is what's our objective of every call?
Right.
We have one objective of every call from the people I talk to. Get the person they're on the phone with, get their timeline. Even if their timeline is in 3 years, you need a closing in 3 years just as much as you need one today.
That's right.
So find their timeline. What can you do to nurture them? What can you do to add value to them? What can you do to create value so that they will call you? So all those things that you want to
Well, it
gain
doesn't have to be about real estate.
that conversation, right?
I mean, one of your clients actually called people saying, we're going to be donating some money to a cause. What is your favorite charity? Let us know. Call us back. Oh, my word. They had how many hundreds of people?
6,000.
6,000 people called them back saying, hey, if you're giving money, we'd love for you to give it to this charity. Well, when they called back, obviously they were hearing whatever message those people had left, or they were asked for a referral.
Well, I think if we really look at this consistency, is it creates a long-term business because it's compounding. There's too many people who've been in insurance sales or whatever sales we've been in. 1 year, we just keep doing the same thing year after year because we're not doing enough to compound and master. So really, you want to be in sales for a year or two, you want to be in sales for 25 years. That's kind of a choice you're making when you look at the consistency.
Well, and once you're consistent, the momentum builds.
Right.
I mean, you've got the frequency of momentum, but then the consistency, it literally is creating mastery because you're doing that same thing over and over.
This is a note I got on momentum. Momentum is manufactured or created. It just doesn't happen. And how do you create that? You create that through daily, consistent, intentional actions, contact by contact, follow-up by follow-up, appointment by appointment, next step to next step. It's the same thing over and over and over, and you just got to get used to the repetitious boredom.
You know, that's so good because people want momentum. The other part I find a lot of times is people get momentum going and then they take a vacation.
Right.
So they almost need a team to help them keep that momentum going.
Yeah, you can have a team, and here's how you plan. You plan the work, and you're going to make your calls up until the day you're going to get ready to go. And then you don't get back from a vacation and rest from the vacation. You got to get back into the activities the day you're back. The time you're gone, that's fine. Don't stop 5 days early, and don't start 5 days later.
Yeah, that right. Well, and we talk about phone calls. Yet lead generation can be social media.
Right.
It can be knocking doors. It can be farming an area. There's lots of ways to lead generate. What are you finding the most consistent with people?
Like we talked about earlier, is the database.
The database is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and the next is open houses, like we talked about. And, farming is the third, FISBOs is the fourth, and then expireds is the fifth. You know what? I got them backwards. Expireds, then FISBOs.
Okay, expireds are first.
Yeah.
Are people going back in time though, beyond just the last few months of expireds?
I just listened to a call the other day. They're going back now 3 years on all leads.
3
Leads they
years.
got 3 years ago, they're going back 3 years. And guess what they're finding?
Lots of people.
Lots of people that said I want to buy today, 3 years later still haven't bought.
You know what's interesting? Because in Sales Mastery, I talk about how the brain works and how people literally will avoid making a decision. And because they're frightened. And until we light up that amygdala, I mean, logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. And people talk to that conscious mind that is full of questions, and they think because they answered their questions, oh man, they're ready to go. Yet no, because the unconscious mind, they never engaged it, and they definitely didn't engage the emotions. And so that fear, which is the biggest emotion that a seller or buyer has, is it's not fear that you're going to do a bad job. It's not fear that they're going to make the wrong decision. It's mostly the fear of the unknown. And that fear of making a wrong decision comes into it, which means it's better to make no decision at all. Not because it's the best decision to not go forward, it's the safest decision to not go forward. So for 3 years, they've sat there in that safety zone or comfort zone of saying, I'm going to stay here because I don't want to make a decision.
Right. No matter what we do, there's so many activities we can do, there's so many actions we can do. So the takeaway from this should be, I have to be consistent somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 days a year, year after year after year. Period.
Whatever your business is,
Right.
What is that consistent thing that you must do?
Right.
And it's not just open your doors,
Right.
or to show up to work and say, I'm going to sit here until somebody calls me.
Right. Consistency of actions.
So you do a mastermind every now and then. Are you going to be doing another one soon that we can tell people about, or have you decided yet?
Well, I've decided, I just haven't got a date.
So watch for a date. On our Tuesday calls, we'll announce it.
Right.
Our Tuesday free Q&A calls are every Tuesday, 8:30 Central Time until 9 a.m. Sometimes it goes 9:05, 9:10, because people are really going, there's another consistent thing.
Right.
We've been consistently showing up and going from, hey, we're going to do this, very few people knowing about it, to over 3,000 people now.
Right.
Having questions. And last time, people actually were texting us with the questions before. We were ready to go.
Right.
Clear up until the very end, just answering the people that were consistent
Right.
in asking questions.
Right.
So thank you so much, Tony, for being here. Consistency is the name of the game. Now, you may have known that, yet are you willing to take the challenge? The consistency challenge. Go 5 days, then go 10. Now, I know we're not talking weekends here, we're talking business days. Yet, how many days will you consistently look for clients, whether it be social media, knocking doors, open houses, calling, whatever it is? Keep track. And then come on Tuesday calls and let us know how you're doing with the challenge. Because after all, we want you to become more. If you like this, go ahead and hit the subscription button. And we'll see you next time on the Becoming More podcast.